welcome. We're back on track with a new episode of International Jugger Talks, episode 4. Today it's only the three of us, me, Stefan, who just recently rejoined Sonnenkinder, and my other co-hosts, which are Manu from Cejota and Baldwin from Balanobulis. We're splitting this show into two episodes today. In the first one, we are speaking a little bit about the recent big tournaments like the DM in Germany, the German Jugger playoffs, and the Autumn Cup in Spain. And in the second part, we are just having some nice little talk about which region is the coolest one and the best one, and by which margin, and so on. Cool. I think we should start with DM. So my first question is, Manuel Baldwin, you both attended there. How did you like it in general?
I
Go
think it
ahead,
was a
Manu.
pretty great tournament overall. If I would have to say something negative, I will say that it was full of wasps everywhere. This was not very nice, but I definitely liked the smaller group system than we usually see in Spain, even though there were more teams. So I think it was a pretty well organized tournament, especially for the problems we know they have.
hmm for me, the experience was similar. I think I had a super great time. Everyone was super welcome. I would really like to thank the German community for this because they were extremely helpful at every time, and they would give you informations and addresses, and whenever you would ask anything to any of them, whether they were from the organization or not, they were extremely helpful. So that was really nice. And I think maybe this doesn't happen so much in Spain because sometimes people are more focused on their own results and their own tournament, and they could just say, okay, most people will be nice, but sometimes some people could say something like, yeah, these are the organizers, you should better talk to them. Meanwhile, in Germany, people were more like, okay, so you have this problem, I will solve it with you, and when you are happy, I am happy, and I can leave. So it was really nice. And I think this is the reason people repeat year after year coming to DM and tournaments in Germany in general.
Yeah, just for records, it was your first appearance, both of you in Germany. And Baldwin, do you think it was that the community was helpful with you? Do you think it was because you're a foreigner, or do you think that they would do to everyone?
Okay, I cannot really say what they would do to a German person because I don't understand German.
Of
So
course.
they could say, "Oh, go fuck yourself," and I wouldn't understand. Blah blah blah. So, or they could say, "Yeah, I will help you with this," and they will still understand. Blah blah blah. So, pretty pointless question, but I will try to answer anyway. I think the German people are generally nicer in these terms than Spanish people, even though German people are usually colder in the way they relate to others than in Spain, where we get confidence faster, which is not necessarily something good. Sometimes, for a foreigner, the way Spanish people get in touch with others is too close, and it frightens them because they think they take their confidence too fast. So to me, it was a great experience. It was my first experience in Germany, as you mentioned, and I'm really looking forward to come back next year. And maybe if I have the money, I will come back more than one time.
Oh,
How
that's
would you
cool.
say this compares to other DMs or big tournaments in Germany, Stefan? You that have a little bit more experience.
Yeah. Okay. Mm, I oh, that's a tough question there. I think it was they made the best out of it. Like Berlin took a 1 year break from organizing the DM. It was last year was at another place, and I'm always kind of surprised how small their stuff of organization is. They really using only a few people to get all this shit done, which is quite a lot, I feel, and especially for these many teams. Um, and under these circumstances, I always appreciate their work quite a lot. And I think they did a really good job this year. They have this. Berlin is a really complicated city, I feel, for hosting such a big tournament because there's only city, and yeah, you don't have that much space for so many people to camp somewhere or something like this. So all that stuff was really difficult, and I quite happy how they solved most of the stuff in their situation. I'm not that convinced about their weapon check, which was like non-existing, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. That wasn't very good.
Okay, for people that weren't there, was like um, the groups in themselves just checked each other's weapons. Sorry, which is for me is crazy. I don't know. I don't think it's crazy. And I we started and we were arguing quite a lot in our group, and it was really stupid for me.
Yeah, from a foreigner's point of view, I found this very, very strange. I don't think it's inefficient, but it's kind of weird. I don't think we would never do this in Spain because there's so many difference in the testing criteria between some people and the others, even from people from the same region, if they are from different teams, they could have very, very different criteria. Also, someone who is usually a chain will probably have not big clue how to rule over a shield and vice versa. So we felt this one of the things that standed out the most to us because we had the feeling that some weapons that because they were more on this Spanish style kind of weaponry, they would probably pass if they were tested by somebody else, and they would pass for sure. They would set in Spain, and for us, having to test some other teams' weapons felt super anti-natural because we don't know the specific rules of the German rulebook. So yeah, this was probably one of the weakest points in my opinion. But I do understand that if you have a tournament with almost 70 teams, you have to find a way more efficient than the traditional way of weapon testing because otherwise there's no way you get all of them tested on time. So okay, maybe there could be some mixed approach between the two ideas where everyone gets clear on what the testing will be, on how each weapon should be tested, what things could pass and what not. And once everyone has the same idea, maybe there we could start making a system where some teams test other teams' weapons, and preferably not teams in the same group, just maybe cross, so that there's not so this
Yeah.
confluence of
Yeah.
interest where okay, you are not passing my shield, so I will be more pricky about your weapons, blah blah blah.
Yeah, we had this situation in our group, like where there was something like, okay, I'm not letting your longsword pass here because I think it's not safe. And then he was, okay, when mine's not going to pass, yeah, you is not going to pass as well. And was like, yeah, cool,
I
nice
think
of you.
another system, not to discredit the organization for all the work they did, but something like maybe even though having a big test for all the teams, it's very complicated and very hard to organize, you can organize a small tribunal for appeals in the weapons, in the sense that some weapons shouldn't be tested by new players because they might just pass. And another thing is that if you were to divide the groups in maybe three, four different sections, and then in that section make a tribunal out of the experienced players in that group, then you could have decent judges. Because the problem is you will usually find your weapons being checked by teams or players with not that much experience. And that myself, I think that was one of the cases because I don't have any idea about the German rulebook really, or how weapons should be considered legal or not legal in Germany. So I was doing monkey work in the sense that measuring tapes and stuff, but in the end you need for every group to have some experienced players you can appeal to when your weapon is not passing, and of course this should be crossed between groups. I don't completely agree with Baldwin. There's no way your opponents should be able to check weapons, especially when Spanish players are pretty dependent on light weapons. We are not trained to play otherwise.
Yeah, that's right. And then we had this issue that one of our weapons broke, and then you had to play with another one, which wasn't that really cool, and that was really hard.
Yeah, yeah.
I think in general I understand the general system there, that they say, okay, we don't have a place where we all gather, or we get all people together, and so that's really, really complicated. And yeah, what to do with this? And in the end, yeah, the solution they found was quite smooth, but still, yeah, there were some hints that really sucked there. I think, and they really made this a not so fun experience. And I think your suggestions are really helpful with this.
Yeah, of course, no one is blaming the organization. They already did enough with the resources they had, but I feel like people not only could have helped more, but I get that whenever you are stressed, getting like ideas, it's really time consuming. But if you were to post your problem in Jagger Worldwide or whatever page or the DM page, I'm sure people are very quick coming up with ideas. Not so fast working, but if they only have to think, I'm sure they could have uh, spared a lot of work
Yeah, actually, I like this. That's really a
asking for
nice idea.
suggestions of the
That's really a good
community.
idea there. Yeah, cool. Nice suggestion. Um, with a in a sportive way, how did you like the tournament, Baldwin?
Uh, I must admit that for me it was a very, very big disappointment. We ended up in third position. I didn't play with
Poor
Palermo Bullies, I
brother.
played with Francesc Pavos de Kiev, and we really were in the hope of winning the whole thing. We knew it would be really, really hard. There were some teams that were on our power level, but we really expected that our previous work on the tournament would like show up and there, and it would help us get there, and it really did until the semifinals, where we faced Magneto Pollos, who ended up in second position. And since, to be fair, we didn't expect Magneto Pollos to be so high placed, we didn't prepare this match very much strategically before, and also usually Franques Pavos has beaten Magnetopollos most of the times they have faced, except maybe one, which was Spring Cup this year, earlier this year. So maybe we should have respected them much more, but we instead opted to get as much information as we could on the German teams, because if there was something to get us there, we thought it should be a German team which we know nothing about.
I actually think Pollos had a fantastic match against Pavos. I was lucky enough to be a assistant referee in that match because no one speaks Spanish.
Guess what?
So I think they played really, really well. And yeah, I could
Yeah,
see that the strategy was not really without some errors, in my
yeah,
opinion.
we made huge mistakes in this match. The video is up on YouTube somewhere, and there you can see how we are focusing too much on neutralizing their left-handed chain, Pablo Ballesteros, and we take so much effort into this that we completely ignore all the other menaces they had. And this way they could profit that we were getting so much attention into this that we weren't playing comfortably because we were paying so much attention to this, you couldn't really focus on your own. And the player who was not playing close to the chain, who was Hugo, did an extremely good match, and we had
Yeah.
to put almost 3 or 4 different players to face him because he was crushing us all. And we really didn't expect Hugo to be a huge concern in this match. So we really didn't say we didn't really know how to adapt ourselves to this problem because it was a problem that wasn't expected at all. So you add this to the fact that we were really comfortable in the other 3 positions and that Hugo was destroying us, and you end up with this result. I think they won 7-4 or 7-5 in the end. It was not even a super close match. It was even like they played a super good match. We also expected them to be much more tired than they were because they were only like 6 people, I think, but only 5 people rotating in important matches. So it was really crazy. We felt super bad in the end, and I think we kind of paid it a little bit with Rigor Mortis 2 in the third to fourth match because we were really crushed down at that moment. But okay, I think these things happen, and when you give so much attention to some opponents and not so much to others, is these others that normally are not such a huge menace that could come up and step up and say, "Hey, don't forget about us. We are here, and we can beat your ass if you forget about us."
Actually, I
So
think Dorian played incredibly amazing in that game. It was out of his mind. Whoever is watching this, they should really go check that semifinal because Dorian is getting clean kills on Pablo Ballesteros
Oh, you played
for
a really good
every
tournament,
all day,
all
every
in
day.
all. all in
I
all, it
think
played a really amazing
had
tournament.
to play the long weapon to protect Dorian and just be aware that uh, his brother actually is going to go for Dorian whenever Dorian gets a clean kill. I think that game was in your hand because Dorian was playing like crazy and you were getting 8 stones on the Kete for absolutely free. It, it, it's a really, really cool game.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, our adaptation, as I said before, our adaptation to the things that were not working in that match was terrible, and also we had to come up with a solution to something that was really unexpected, which was Hugo's performance. And there's also one topic we spoke about when we met all the team later to see, okay, guys, what happened? It was like the team trusted me as a playmaker, as a
Short caller.
as a shot
Strategist.
caller, strategic commander, sort of captain, whatever you call it. And I wanted to make some things that you cannot do with Frankenspavos because they are a team. They have been playing together for so long. They know each other very, very well. And the things I was trying to bring in there were not the kind of thing you can do. They are a team who is always used to have the opposing team adapting to them because they play extremely good pumpers, extremely good chain, extremely good anti-chain. So you have a very, very strong lineup to which most teams have to be the ones taking the first movement to counter some of these menaces. But when you start switching pieces like we did, suddenly people feel out of place and they feel not comfortable with their playstyle. So they start to go down in level, and suddenly what you thought was making us play better was actually being harming us.
Mhm. Okay, I understand. So I think we should now talk a little bit about the Atom Cup and a German team placing third position, which is pretty great, I
Yeah,
reckon.
actually, we forgot a little bit the topic of Berracos beating Rigor Mortis in this quarterfinal
Yeah,
match,
oh
which was a
my.
really, really blow.
We will talk about that in the second section of
Okay,
Germany
yeah, it's
versus
cool. Yeah, we
Spain.
can move
Yeah,
it
yeah,
I
there.
but
think we
That's fine.
should
That's fine.
really focus
anyone watching
more
us
on
is
other
probably
stuff like
asking.
organization or the tournament. How did you like the Atom Cup, Baldwin, since you are the only one of us three who actually attended?
Yeah, okay. Atom Cup had a system, a set system, which was combined with a time system. So it worked like this. You had rounds of 25 minutes with 5 minutes interlude for team switching, and the round would start every hour or half hour, and it would go on for 25 minutes with the stones non-interrupted. So when this was combined with a set system. So you had to score 5 points in two sets. But of course, this caused that almost every single match would end up because of time, and it would be decided by who won the first set, unless there were two pretty fast sets that were won by the same team, which would cause the end of the round, or each team winning one set, which would cause a third set to be played, which was almost ever time to finish. So there was a lot of dice and also a lot of games that were won in unexpected results because only the first set counted. So they changed this for the second day, and the second day they rolled back and they said, okay, we're not using set system anymore, and we just switched back to our regular system. It was easy adaptation, and I think nobody complained about this, even though it was not on paper, because nobody was really happy with this set system. The set system, I think it's the second time it's tried in Spain. It was tried a long time ago, but we went with a 5 set of 6 points system. So matches were extremely large for a whole tournament. So they switched it back. It was also in Madrid with Drago Cup 3 years ago, and this is the second time. And I think we quite okay. Set system is promising, but we are not there yet. We haven't found the right key. We have to still try to um, experiment with it, so we find the right amount of sets and points, so it can be done. But to me, it's one of the most interesting tournament systems because it makes it so that when matches are very unbalanced, they go on really, really fast. So it's not too bad, neither for the very good team and the team who is getting stomped at. And when matches are tight, it makes it super cool because even if one team gets a little bit ahead, the other still has chances of coming back, and it's really nice because if you lose the first set very strongly, you still have this option of coming back. You are not like, okay, now I have to score 5 points to get this 5-0 back. You only have to score one more point during the nine next, which I think it makes for more interactive and more interesting to watch matches.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
right. I
the
think
biggest
the
problem with
problem
set
is,
system is the fact that we are trying to push too many matches in every day for the teams. So the timings are too tight, and it makes no sense for a group stage.
I
So
don't actually get the idea of putting a time limit onto the set systems.
yeah,
Like,
it makes
that's
no
Okay,
really
sense
crazy.
the
That's
last
for me,
year,
that's dumb.
yeah, I can
yeah.
explain this. The last year in Autumn Cup, there was a very large recording which had 25 minutes of stones, 5 minutes of silence, and 25 minutes of stones, and so on. This was used so that if your match went too long, you wouldn't have all the whole tournament, the other 60 teams waiting just for you. So if your time runs out, okay, the current result is the final result, and we move on to the next round. This makes it so that you can know in advance how much time each match will take, and that allows you as organizer to make the tournament run more smoothly and to give
Yes, yes, of course,
more
I understand
matches.
this. I understand this idea, and I liked it last year when I was there, and I like it because it's really working properly with stones because you can predict really good how many stones the game will take. But when you have sets with like let's say best of three, 5 points, then you will have at least 10 points, and at the maximum you will have 19 points, which is almost double up the same thing. So you can't say then, okay, we always have this 25 minutes when you play 10 or 19 points.
Of course,
That doesn't make
because
any sense at
it's
all, right?
expected from all teams, and
Yeah.
this is why they switch it out. And I think this was the biggest mistake to try to fuse two systems that can really go together, which is set system with the time continuous system. So at some point you have to give up on one or the other. I think for me it's more interesting the continuous time system because this allows really to play a lot of matches in the same day. Which when you are traveling to a tournament far away from your home, what you really want is to play as much as possible, even if you end up very tired because you won't care so much since you had the enjoyment of playing against a lot of opponents from other regions. And this is the reason we really travel to Jugger tournaments. So set system, it can be safe there, but I think we should go on and moving into this continuous time system, and maybe set system could be cool for the eliminatory rounds or something like this on Sundays.
I don't know. Like,
Stefan, what
okay,
would you say was the biggest upset back in the DM?
back at
Because
the
I want to
DM.
know your opinions both in the biggest upsets, both in Atom Cup and the DM, if there were any,
That's hard to tell. I think
or just
um,
an upset. What would you say was an
the most
upset?
interesting thing for me that I not expect was that Veracruz won against Rigor Mortis. I think it was the most interesting thing for me, and the others, um, and of course, and that Poyos lost one against FTK, which was unexpected as well. I really didn't think that these two teams would come through to the final.
And
Actually,
maybe there's something interesting you can come up. Manu and me, we don't know too much about the German community. We've heard of the teams who are always on top and all this, but maybe there's a small team who overperformed or a big team who underperformed in the DM, in your opinion, aside from the ones we all know.
okay, let me recheck the results. What's interesting
I will
here?
just say them out
Okay,
loud
okay.
for people watching.
Uh, yeah, Rico Mortis 2 was for me. They were really a little bit overperforming, ending up fifth place. Of course, they were. Let's call it. They were somewhat lucky because they ended up in the right half of the tournament tree, which was by far the most easiest one I've ever witnessed in a big tournament. It was really simple to play there, and was default ticket or most default ticket to semifinals and so on. Uh, and on the left side, all the good teams they kicked each other out, which was but still they performed quite impressive. And there's this other team which is called Flying Jumpman, which is well not that super known even in Germany. I think they're quite some cool guys, and they finished 12th, which was quite impressive. I think. Of course, they came from the right half of the tournament tree as well. So of course they made a really good result.
Hmm.
But besides that, what was really impressive was the showing of the Spanish teams was quite good. Just losing to themselves, not losing any other games. Of course, some teams gave them a run for their money and kind of challenged them a little bit, but not that much. So it was really
The
crazy.
losing to themselves statement is especially true in the Pavos versus Pollos match. What would
Oh,
you say about the same question, but in the Autumn Cup,
Okay,
Baldwin?
so you're asking me which teams over and underperformed
No,
on.
if there was any kind of upset and
Yeah, okay.
overperformance, just
Mm,
weird shit that happens.
okay. So interesting things that came up on Atom
Yeah,
Cup during the
exactly.
Sunday. Just for a little reminder, the Atom Cup had a little group stage with three teams in each group, so there were lots of groups, and the first one from each seed would get into two power groups of 7 teams each. So there were 14 little groups to which we seeded 14 teams, seven on each side. There was one side with some big teams like Ninjas, Tercios, Rigor Mortis, um, and Spoogers. And in the other side, there were all the other super strong teams like Berracos, Magnetopollos, Franquespavos, Ninjas, and I think that's all because the other two teams were us and another Galician team, which we are not in the super top tier.
Yeah,
So for our
I agree.
from our side, we managed to beat Berracos, which ended up second position in the group stage, and we tied the match against Ninjas, which was kind of both things were kind of unexpected. We got stomped by Franquespavos and by Magnetopollos, of course, and then during Sunday, it was pretty interesting the fact that you can see that Franquespa was placed fifth position because they lost to Berracos in quarterfinals.
once more.
Uh, and I was actually surprised about Rigor Mortis' third position. To be fair, I thought they would be a little bit lower, like fifth, sixth position, maybe losing in quartos, in sorry, round of eight, quarterfinals.
Your lack of
And
faith is disappointing, Baldwin.
I was really surprised that Berracos reached the finals. And well, okay. Aside from that, I think everything else is more or less average. I think we might have overperformed with a sixth position as Valar Morgulis.
Which is
Uh,
really impressive, by the way. I
mhm.
wanted to congratulate for it.
Well, thank you,
Congratulations. It was really good. You were playing really impressive there. You the whole team. I really liked it.
thank you. And okay, there are, for example, Ninja Salmoradi ended up in 12th position and Spooger 16th, and this is just because they were
Is
on the
Spooger's 16th or 8th? Ah,
16th.
okay, 16th. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's quite an upset.
Hmm.
Wow.
So yeah, some huge upsets there, and I think it most likely was because top teams, due to the way it was worked, with two very strong power group teams, there could happen that very strong teams would face each other from round of 16. So one of them has to get out, and that team will be the one we will be talking about in our show. Like, okay, these guys are 16 when in the Summer Cup, for example, Spoogers, I think they went third position or fourth position.
Yeah.
So so
Yeah.
it's really, and they
Beating
were looking really,
Pavos.
really strong.
Yeah.
But
They won the,
Summer Cup was just a clusterfuck of weird results.
yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Yes, for sure.
Okay, so maybe we can move on to our
Yeah, I
second
think
part.
this wraps up our little take on both Atom Cup and the DM, and now we will talk about the strength of the regions regarding Jagger. So prepare your salt mines, guys.
Take it deep.
We're
Take
going to dig
it.
pretty deep. Okay?
Yeah, let's do it. Then see you later. We will just restart it, and you
We
can
will
just
be
hang in
back
there,
soon.
and I will. Yeah, I will just switch it back on. See ya.